This is a video for those of you who are looking to start to use their bike as a means of transportation in everyday life and make it a more streamlined part of your daily routine. I tried different types of bikes, I tried different types of gear, and I changed my route several times to optimize it, and I tried different routines. So if you were to come to me as a friend and you ask me for advice over a beer, which I don't drink, by the way, so you could have my beer as well, these would be the things that I would tell you. I tried to group everything into categories so you can jump to the section that is of interest to you. And the first category is safety. Your safety should always be your first priority, and make all your choices on the road accordingly. Keep in mind that you are the most vulnerable road user, so watch for cars appearing out of nowhere. Avoid busy roads if you can in order to maximize your safety, and oftentimes this means that you have to take a secondary road, and sometimes these alternative roads are just as quick, but they are much safer. Don't yell at pedestrians, use a bell instead. Now, your hearing is very important. It's almost as important as your vision. Don't block both of your ears and blast music in them. Now, if you want to listen to audio or to take some calls, then you can use bone conduction headphones, or you can use a single earbud. Invest in quality lights. Use daytime running lights as well. Strong flashing front lights are annoying, and they're potentially dangerous too because they can blind others on the road. You should use constant or pulsing lights instead. Now, to be seen flashing lights and flashing rear lights are okay because they're not as distracting. Dynamo hubs never run out of battery, and they're always ready whenever you are ready to ride your bike. If you ride after sunset, then wear reflective details. Know and follow the rules of the road. Unless cyclists are specifically not allowed to ride on a specific road, then you have a right to be there. So dare to own the lane and dare to own the road. Don't run red lights. Always look around when taking a turn, and watch out not only for cars, but also for cyclists and pedestrians, because sometimes they can appear out of nowhere. Whenever possible, make eye contact with drivers when you get to intersections. Use your hands to indicate your turning intention, and for that you have to learn how to ride with one hand on the handlebar. Scan the road about 2-3 seconds of reaction time ahead of you, so you can avoid hitting a pothole or come to a sudden stop if necessary. Watch for pedestrians when overtaking a bus in the bus stop. Watch out when crossing train or tram tracks because your wheels can get stuck. Approach them at a 90 degrees angle. Watch out when crossing round-shaped objects such as branches, hoses, or cables. Don't go in puddles because you never know what is under the surface of the water. Ride carefully on wet asphalt. Be careful when rolling over plastic, metal, or cardboard on the road, especially when you are leaning into a curve. Lock your bike at frequented places. If you need to stop in a dodgy area, then see if you can bring your bicycle with you into the building. Check what you are locking your bike to, because sometimes the things that we lock our bikes to are actually less safe than our bike locks themselves. Now, this next group of tips is all about comfort and how to carry stuff when you're on the bicycle. And this is important because if you get this right, then it is much more likely that you're going to be a long-term bike commuter. Ride a bike that is built for the type of commute that you have and it is comfortable for you. Never buy a bike that is not your size just because you fell in love with it. Optimize your bike for comfort and practicality, and not for looks, weight, or speed. It is normal for your butt to hurt in the first few days or weeks of cycling, but gradually this is going to go away and things are going to get better. Small adjustments to your bike can make a big difference in comfort. If you have hills and they are too hard to conquer, then consider getting an e-bike. If you sweat too much and it bothers you, then consider getting an e-bike. If your pedal is too slippy in the rain, then look for anti-slip pedals. Numb hands usually means that you have too much pressure on your hands, and there are two easy ways to try to fix this. One of them is to raise your handlebar a little bit, so it puts you in a little bit more upright riding position. That means less pressure on your hands. The other thing you can do is to get rid of your backpacks if you ride with backpacks and use panniers instead, or put a front basket or a rear basket on your bicycle and put your backpack there while you're riding. Take it easy on the last mile to avoid sweating when you get there. Use fenders to protect your back and your torso from road spray when it rains. Keep an eye on the forecast. It is okay to be a little bit cold, and it is okay to be a little bit wet, but not both at the same time. If you feel that you absolutely must take a shower, but you have no showering facilities at the office, then you can use a gym nearby, or alternatively, just take some baby wipes and you can clean yourself when you get there. If you like the idea of riding with panniers, but you hate the idea of carrying a pannier when you got there and you prefer a backpack, you can get convertible 2-in-1s. If you don't have brace-ons for a rear rack, then you can use a seat post mounted rack. If you're a backpack person, you can still use a front basket or a rear basket to put your backpack in. You can also use a cargo net and combine it with some carabiners to attach it to your bike. Bring several days worth of clothing with you at once and keep some clothes at work so you don't need to carry as much on a daily basis in your bag. Leave as many things at work as possible and ask yourself the question, do I really need my laptop when I get home? Or can I leave my charger in the office? Those little savings all add up. Wear comfortable clothing for the ride, whether you dress for your destination or for the ride. Now, this next group of tips are all related to your bicycle. Optimize for comfort and practicality rather than speed. If you encounter more than just moderate inclines on your commute, then consider getting a bike with several speeds. Now, 3 speeds, in my opinion, are just too few. You should look for a bike with 7, 8 or more gears. Don't buy the most expensive bike that you can afford. Keep your bike ready to ride at all times. Upright bikes are more practical for most commuters than road bikes or racy bikes. Drop handlebars are not necessary if you mainly ride in the city. If you have several bikes, then keep one of them as a dedicated commuter bike that is always ready to ride. Invest in a good quality bike lock. The fewer things you put on your bike and the simpler you keep the cockpit, the sooner you're ready to ride when you want to hit the road. If you can't afford a bike or you don't have anywhere to store it at home, then consider bike sharing, because this is the cheapest and the most hassle-free way of riding a bicycle in the city. It has all the benefits of cycling, but it doesn't have any of the challenges of owning a bicycle. If your apartment is too small for a bike, then consider a folding bike. Cargo bikes or trailers make it possible to bike commute even if you have little children or if you have big loads or bulky items to carry. Now, the next group of tips is general tips and general advice. Apps such as Google Maps or Commute can help you find some bike-specific routes that you probably haven't discovered yet. Allow yourself time to arrive and don't leave at the last minute hoping for a best-case scenario every time. Riding slower may allow you to use your momentum when you get to a red light to not have to stop, because by the time you get there, it'll have turned green. Experiment with the route. Shorter is not always faster, especially if the shorter route has several traffic lights or heavy traffic. Just because you sweat, it doesn't mean that you need to take a shower when you get to your destination. Bike commuting as a family requires preparation, but it is very rewarding for the parents as well as for the children. Learn how to shift gears. Remember, there is no right or wrong way of doing this. You have to do what really suits you. Now, the next group of tips is all about practicality, and this ties in with comfort because as long as your ride is comfortable and practical, this can be maintained and sustained in the long run. If you have a bad experience and it's not practical, then you will want to abandon it as soon as it becomes a little bit hard. Keep your bike chain attached to your bike frame so you never find yourself unable to lock your bike. Keep the keys of your bike chain with you on the chain ring at all times. Don't wait for the light's batteries to go flat in order to charge them. Create a charging station and a charging routine. Platform pedals are more practical for commuting than clipless pedals because you can ride your bike with any of your shoes. Check and empty your cycling backpack or pannier regularly. It's incredible how much crap can accumulate on the bottom of the bag. Prepare your things the night before cycling to avoid leaving stuff at home, trying to depart in a hurry in the morning. Dress for your destination whenever possible. Now, this is really easily feasible if you have a short commute, say 3 miles or less. If you're trying to save weight or money on puncture protective tires, then it may mean that you lose some extra time on the roadside fixing flats. Your tires should be wide enough to give you cushioning, but not too wide to be too bulky and heavy. I find that between 30 and 40 millimeters is a good range. Have a water bottle if you have a long commute. If your commute is too long, then consider multimodal commuting. You can go by car half the way and then finish the ride on the bicycle, or you can combine your bike ride with a train. Now, the next group of tips is all about mindset, which is probably a little bit less practical, but very important nonetheless. Start small. If it feels overwhelming, then do one day at a time and commit to riding today. Don't race, not against others, not against the clock, and not against anyone else. Find a comfortable pace that you can keep. Understand why you're doing it so you can keep doing it when it becomes difficult or when you have to overcome some challenges. Enjoy the time you spend on the bike. This is so important, and this is going to be a source of inspiration. I guarantee when you get out of the office and you're frustrated and you're on the bike, you're going to get home and you're going to be super happy and super relaxed. Don't brag about being a bike commuter to others, and don't do it for others. Being normal about cycling to work will attract others too. I know because this happened at my workplace as well. Change up your route every now and then to break up your routine. Give yourself extra time to arrive. Now, the next group of tips is all related to bike maintenance. You have to learn 3 essential bike maintenance skills: how to air up your tire, how to deal with a flat tire, and how to clean and lube your chain. Check your tire pressure every 2 or 3 weeks. Clean your chain once a month or once every 2 months. Do a bike tune-up once a year. You don't have to do this yourself. You can take your bike to your local bike shop and you will be surprised just how different your bike feels and rides after it gets a little bit of TLC. Carry a spare inner tube to deal with a flat, and then you can patch the puncture on the old tube when you get home. Keep a mini pump for the rides. If your bike is making noises, don't ignore it. Check what's causing it. Tubeless tires require some maintenance, and they're not necessary for most commuters. Have a good quality floor pump with a gauge at home. Now, this group of tips is all about fitness because some of us also want to enjoy the fitness benefits of riding a bike. Instead of logging miles, log the days that you ride. If you want to bike commute daily, you may have to build up to it if your fitness level is not there yet. You might have to start with 1 day a week or 2 days a week and build it up from there to 3, 4, and even 5 days a week. You don't have to have a long commute to count as good exercise. Small trips to the grocery store or to the post office and running small errands all add up, and they're all so great. If you do it for weight loss, don't think that it gives you license to eat as much as you want to because you rode 30 minutes in the morning. Don't be shy to take a day off if your body is craving it. Find the optimum gear for cadence and speed. If the headwind is slowing you down and you feel that you're not moving, you're in one place, use that to your advantage and push it harder. And don't worry, because you're still moving. If you want to optimize for weight loss, then you can combine bike commuting with intermittent fasting, and your morning ride can be fasted cardio. Now, bike commuting is so much fun, and as I said, there is no right or wrong way of doing it. In fact, some old bikes are much better suited for commuting than some brand new ones. And unfortunately, I was led to believe quite the opposite, and I went down the rabbit hole of looking for the perfect brand new bike. But in reality, there are only 4 characteristics that a good commuter bike should have. And I broke them down and listed them in this video here. So if you're still looking for the perfect commuter, or you want to find out whether your bike is the perfect commuter, I suggest you go and check out this video. And I hope to see you either on the road or see you there.